Going back, my parents had come with me, so they walked the path. And then later that evening, there was a darshan, and I was asked to come because I had my parents. And while we sat, we were making dolls, puppet dolls in Detroit, so I was asked to carry it. Prabhupada asked me, "What is that you have?" And I said, "Well, it's a puppet, Srila Prabhupada." And he said, "This, you must not do this because people will think we're worshiping dolls." So I was, then someone came and took the puppet. Then later on in the darshan, my parents were with me, and he was asking for questions. Prabhupada was asking questions. And so my father raised his hand, and he said, "Well, you were mentioning that Christians are saying, 'Give us our daily bread,' but actually, the animals are eating." Prabhupada was explaining that there's no need in Christians. And so my father said, "Well, what about, we're not just asking for bread, we're asking for cake, we're asking for everything." And Prabhupada instantly cut him off and said, "What do you know? What are you knowing?" And he went on to further the point, and he just dismissed, so we were kind of both dismissed immediately. My father's reaction was a little bit stunned, and he really didn't have a comeback for it. Luckily, he didn't argue with him. He just kind of let it. I think the environment, we were all squished in a room. Prabhupada obviously was the authoritative figure, and he wasn't about to start a huge fight with him. He was upset. Both his only daughters had joined, so he had a little charge in there. In the course of taking care of Manisha, who was only a 13-year-old child at the time, she went through a lot of stages. And her mother, Antajana, had gone to Srila Prabhupada and said, what should I do with her? What's the best thing? And he said, "You should simply keep her comfortable." So that was a very loose, kind of direction to go in, because comfortable could mean drugs or medication, or it could mean moving and so many things. So we kind of improvised from that basic direction to go in. So we brought her to the Himalayas in the hot season and did so many things. And the mother's becoming anxious, and she was near dying, and so she really wanted to see Prabhupada to ask, and she was so distraught. So it was just before the evening artik, and Prabhupada was getting ready to go with Harisari, was his servant at the time. So we were able to go in, and there was myself and Antajana, the mother, and the girl, Manisha. So we went in the darshan room, and the mother said, "Prabhupada, she said, I don't know what to do, she's dying." And Prabhupada's eyes got, huge, and said, "We are all dying. For you tomorrow, for me next week, we're all dying." And the way that he said it was like, "Where have you been? What have I been saying? What have I been preaching? Why did I come here? I came here to show you that we're dying, and it's just a matter of time. You should chant Hare Krishna." And he was becoming like really kind of almost outraged that this would be a surprise, that, you're now dying. And we were kind of thinking maybe we'd get some empathy of a different sort, some sympathy, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but there was nothing. He cut to the chase immediately. There wasn't any type of soft pedaling, nothing like that, just right to it. And it really kind of threw us all back. And so Manisha was having a really hard time chanting, as you would. She's 13, she's a bag of bones, and she didn't want to chant 16 rounds every day. So she asked Srila Prabhupada, "What should I do? What'll happen to me if I don't chant 16 rounds?" And he said, "You'll be born, in an aristocratic family, or educated and wealthy." But he said, chant Hare Krishna. Simply chant Hare Krishna.
Je anilo premadana koruna prachu